Skyline, written by Susan Lennox. Introduction. What would Paris be without the famous Eiffel Tower, or Dubai without its famous Burj Khalifa Tower? Iconic structures such as these, along with surrounding buildings, create an outline against sky called skyline. Skylines are unique identifiers of places, just as your fingerprint or one-of-a-kind identifiers you. Unlike fingerprints, however, skylines don't stay the same forever. They grow and change. Manhattan in New York City is a great example of a place whose skyline has experienced both slow and rapid change. In recent years, New York's skyline has altered dramatically. Buildings and structures have risen, fallen, and risen again. New York's skyline has constantly evolved. Growing the Big Apple. During the 19th century, New York City's famous skyline, along with its dense population, began to grow rapidly. The Civil War ended, and in many formerly enslaved people traveled north in search of work. Immigrants from Ireland, Poland, and Italy followed. Many of these travelers made their homes on New York City's Manhattan Island. By the late 1800s, New York was the most densely populated city in the country. In 1925, it was the most densely populated city in the world. All the city's new residents needed places to live, work, and shop. Gradually, the city expanded northward as more stores, factories, and homes were built. However, Manhattan Island is only about 23 square miles in area. There was no more room for the city to expand outward. The only place to grow was up. To do that, new building methods had to be employed. Up until that time, walls had been used to support building's weight. The walls on the building's ground floor had to be strong enough to bear the weight of all the floors and the roof above them. This type of the construction limited the building's height. There was no practical way to make walls thick and strong enough to support a building with dozens of floors. New way of building involved using steel frame instead of walls to support the structure. Gigantic steel beams were connected to form the building's skeleton. Then the walls were hung from the beams, much like curtains from a rod, and attached at the bottom of the floor. With used steel frame construction, the walls of the building's upper floor were not heightened heavily on the lower floors wall. The weight of walls was distributed along the steel beams holding them up. Steel frame construction made it possible for buildings to reach new heights. By the turn of the 20th century, New York City housed a number of huge structures that came to be called skyscrapers. Soon, skyscrapers were going up one after another as builders and architects competed to make the world's tallest building. Building skyscrapers. By the late 1920s, New York City's skyline had risen to a new height. It was during this time that two of the city's best known structures were built. In 1928, the builders of 77-story Chrysler buildings wanted to make it the world's tallest, so fierce that the competition for the title left the Chrysler buildings buckled. A tall, mere or towering structure. The secret plan worked. In 1930, the Chrysler building became not only the world's tallest structure, but only the one stand taller than 1,000 feet. The crystal building's legend would not last, but blocks away, a steel frame metamorph was rising. The Empire State Building would take the crown for world's tallest building. Workers broke ground on the Empire State Building in January 1930. It was completed just 410 days later. The steel and granite building had 103 floors and stood over 1,400 feet tall. More than 3,000 workers contributed skills and labor to finish the building. The completed building that has 64 working elevators took less than 1 minute to get to the 80th floor. An outside observation deck on the 86th floor and an inside deck on the 102nd floor provide a panoramic view of the city. The Empire State Building became a symbol of New York City. It was named one of the 7 wonders in modern world and will feature in books and movies. It wore the crown of the tallest building for nearly 40 years until deposed by twin giants rising in Lower Manhattan. Twin giants rise therefore after the Empire Building was completed. Skyscraper construction, slow mammoth structures were costly to build, and the American economy was struggling. It was before 1970, before the city's skylines grew higher. In the 1960s, city officials considered building a World Trade Center, a hub for international commerce in Lower Manhattan. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey was in charge of the project. Architect Minoru Yamasaki, a Detroit-born Japanese-American, designed the buildings. He proposed 3 towers as part of multi-building complex of offices and storefronts. The 110-story towers would include some structural innovations. One innovation was the use of two-frame construction instead of a steel frame construction. Each tower was similar to hollow square pipe. The outside perimeter of the building had columns that was based close together, surrounding the edge of building with main support columns, creating more usual floors back inside. Another innovation was the use of sky lobbies. A taller building is more elevators is needed. Yamasaki proposed an elevator system modeled after the city's subway system. The towers had both express and local elevators. People could take an express elevator to the sky lobby on the 44th floor that would bypass the first 43 floors. Then they were start to travel to a local elevator, which they would stop at every floor to get rid to their office on the 48th floor. This system was the efficient way to transport people vertically, and it reduced the number of elevator shafts needed. Construction of the towers began in 1966. The North Tower completed in December 1970, coming out at 17,027 feet. At the top of the spire, a restaurant is called Windows on the Wall offer dinners at a breathtaking view from the top of North Tower. South Tower, reaching 1,362 feet, in height was finished 7 months later. Beneath both buildings was a garage. That parking garage could accommodate up to 2,000 vehicles. Railroad and subway stations were situated underneath the parking garage. The Twin Towers were striking addition to the city's skyline because they were built away from cities or other tall skyscrapers. When they dressed the surrounding buildings, they were the most dominant structures on Manhattan Island. For 30 years, the World Trade Center Tower, then the tallest building in New York. Then disaster struck. On the morning of 11th, 2001, hijackers flew 2 passenger jets to the tower within an hour after the attack. South Tower began to fall in on itself and crumble to the ground. The North Tower followed 30 minutes later. New Yorkers watched in stunned disbelief as these enormous structures would reduce him by burning rubble. Nearly 3,000 people died as a result of the attack. A new town rises from the ashes. The World Trade Center strategy devastated New York and the rest of the country. New Yorkers mourned the loss of their neighbors and their landmark. At the same time, they worked to rebuild at the World Trade Center site. Evacuating the roofs of the towers took time, plans, and sites for years to develop. There were many opinions on what should be done, and many designs were submitted with considerable controversy. Finally, the Port Authority unveiled the design for the new World Trade Center complex. One area was set aside Memorial Park for those who lost their lives at that day. The site where the original building stood are now reflecting pool, with casting one falls from a memorial museum containing items for the old towers. Nearby, a new 104-story tower has been constructed, nicknamed the Freedom Tower. The structure rises an astonishing 1,076 feet. The building height symbolizes the year the United States won independence from the British rule. The glass-plated tower had twisted an octagon shape, and its reflective surface mirrored in the changes in its light all around it. At the top is a spire equipped with a light beam that is visible for miles. Several high rises are being constructed at the site as well. By 2022, 4 of the 6 new towers planned for the World Trade Center complex were complete. The memorial and the museum were also built. The New York's ever-changing skyline will reflect the spirit of a city that continues to adapt and grow.
Good job! Click on the... You did it. Perfect.